It's not like the Scottish nationalists to not use a public occasion to voice their determination to get a free and independent Scotland away from the United Kingdom. Now, don't give me that bollocks about their paying their respects because the Queen of England died. They hate her. They hate the monarchy. Englishness, Britishness, that's what they represent. They want away from that. So why didn't they use it? I mean, during the procession through Edinburgh, you had one or two of them hold a placard saying abolish the monarchy. And that's it. Well, of course, the lad who shouted the abuse at the coffin or at Prince Andrew and his siblings as they walked past, and I'll get to that later. And another thing I did notice during that procession, lots of people, Scottish people, were shouting God Save the King. They shouted God Save the Queen, and they all seemed very British patriotic, which makes me think the Scots don't want independence at all. If anything, an event such as this seems to have brought out the pro-monarchists and the pro-Brits, the pro-unionists up in Scotland to voice their opinions, to show themselves. Because trust me when I say this, and if you're watching this video from outside the United Kingdom, the Scots are a very opinionated lot. Nothing, no event, no issue will stop them from giving their tuppence worth. And being a Brit, knowing how things work on this island and what the various countries think of each other and how we behave and relate, I really was expecting a bit more disorder, shall we say, during the procession. But there wasn't. There was nothing apart from that lad shouting the abuse. And also, all through the night last night, thousands of Scots went to see the late Majesty the Queen lying in state. And they did so solemnly and respectfully. And again, this just gives me the sense that the Scots don't really want independence. I think the majority of Scots want to keep the United Kingdom as it is and still be a part of it and stay with us. Because if ever there was an opportunity for them to come out in droves, the Scottish nationalists, the vile SNP, to show that they really, really did want to leave the United Kingdom and go it alone or join the European Union, now was the time. And believe me, folks, again, as a Brit, when I tell you, they would have done it, they would have voiced it there and then. The death of the Queen of England would not have stopped them, but it did. And that there are more unionists up in Scotland than there are separatists. And then Westminster would have had to have take note, and realise, my God, the Scots really do want independence. Let's just give them another referendum and be done with it. And let them go if they want. But I do believe now if there was a referendum to leave the United Kingdom, the Scots would vote to stay in yet again. Now then, on to that heckler. Here's the thing about the Scottish heckler during the late Queen's funeral procession in Edinburgh yesterday. Now, he pushed himself through to the front of the crowd, literally hanging on the barrier, and was feet away from Her Majesty's coffin and King Charles III and his siblings. And he called Prince Andrew a nonce and a wrong un, or words to that degree. And yes, he was right, and Prince Andrew did deserve it. However, there's a time and a place. And it's not when he's walking behind the coffin of his mother and his sister and brothers. Now, if this was some socialist hellhole and that was some dictator walking behind the coffin of his mother, he'd have been put up against a wall in a jiffy and riddled with bullets from a Soviet-made rifle. Now, as much as I agree with free speech, and I'm quite the advocate here on my channel, I also believe there's a time and a place. That wasn't the time and the place. And that wasn't practicing free speech. That was encouraging public disorder. Now, some woman holding up a sign saying abolish the monarchy, she was arrested and she was carted off. And I don't agree that should have happened. All she did was hold up a sign, as is her right to free speech. That's the way to do it, silently and with dignity. And I am so glad to see the young lad get yanked by his collar by members of the crowd and promptly arrested. And his abuse was drowned out by cries of God Save the King by the Scottish crowd. And I'm sure Nicola Sturgeon must have been seething when she heard that. There are plenty of Scots up north who are loyal to the crown and still want to be a part of this great United Kingdom. So don't let the lefties tell you otherwise, all right? It's a lie. But back to this lad who shouted the obscenities at Prince Andrew. Now, online, Twitter especially, he has been lauded as a hero. And the woke lot are saying, well, he was practicing his free speech and he was only pointing out that Prince Andrew is rightly a nonce. And so, to that end, I call these people who are celebrating this idiot hypocrites. Because why was it okay for this lad to call out a royal paedophile? And yet, Tommy Robinson and other brave people like him, they've been shouting from the rooftops and calling out for years. Members of the religion of getting away with everything, who've been getting away with grooming underage British girls for donkey's years. And the woke lot who are calling the Scottish lad a hero have been trying to cancel and shut down Tommy Robinson. So what's the difference? And why do the woke give such perversions practiced by some members of an ethnic demographic a free pass? Now, obviously, paedophilia, an unhealthy interest in underage kids, is wrong regardless of who commits it. And I also think it's disgusting on Prince Andrew's behalf as well, that he thought the public would forget what he allegedly did and his associations with convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein by using his mother's death to show his face in public again. He must have known. I mean, I was quite anxious watching that procession through Edinburgh because I knew somebody was either going to jump out or shout something, and lo and behold, somebody did. It must have been very uncomfortable as well for his brothers and sister and Charles and Edward to hear that. They don't need it while walking behind the coffin of their dead mother. So Andrew should have used his noggin and just hidden away, stay hidden. The public don't want him, the public don't like him. And this is a stain he'll never ever be able to wash off himself. And so to reiterate, yes, he does deserve the abuse, but that wasn't the time and place. And I doubt very much that the cancel culture fetishists on the left have any idea of the concept of free speech and how and where to practice it. And that's that. That's my video. That's what I think. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Until the next time, have a great day. Look after yourselves. And Roger Trout.